G'day all, Neil Tate here again. A little while back we made a video here on Merlin, the lighting up and the preparation for a run. But today with our very keen videographer Mr. John Phillips behind the lens, decided to do a bit of a trip behind Merlin so you can see what goes on inside the cab as well as a bit of trackside work, and well, see our little engine running as it should do on its 12-inch gauge railway. It's a marvellous little loco, a fabulous railway up here, and well, very soon we'll be taking you for a ride in the cab. At any rate, the Merlin sits here in her prime, ready to take this train up the hill, and the load behind the train is probably around about 6 tonne, 5 tonne, something like that. The loco weighs probably a tonne, tonne and a half, probably close to 2 tonne, and our ruling grade up here is about 1 in 30. So she's got a bit of work in front of her today, but she'll do it. She's a great little Loki. Bubbles around at about 90 pound, very happy at 80 pound, and very soon we'll take you for a ride. Okay, well, the controls of the locomotive are pretty simple but standard for just about every steam locomotive throughout the world. The regulator handle here is just a connection through to inside the smoke box, where there's a spherical ball valve that opens and closes to let steam down from the boiler into your cylinders. The reversing lever here is a standard reversing type lever, forward, mid gear and back gear, and there's very few notches between where we can notch it up as we get going. The shovel down here, obviously for putting a bit of coal in, one-man operation on this locomotive. The driver's kept a bit busy, but it's good fun. The hydrostatic lubricator over here works with the steam feeding in, condensing, displacing the oil coming up through this pipe, down in through to the 2 needle valves, and you can see the glob of oil going up. That lubricates the left-hand pistons and valve, and the same on the right-hand side, piston and valve this side, and then down through the delivery pipes down into the steam chests. The little lever down here is the cylinder release cocks. They're open at present when the lever's pointing back to the rear of the cab. When they're closed, simply they're closed forward. They're a steam operated cylinder cock, so as when we've got steam in the cylinders as we're taking off, we haven't got any steam behind the little valve to shut the valve, so the steam from the cylinders dissipates the water and condensate out through the bottom of the cylinders through the cylinder release cocks. When we shut the cylinder cocks, we simply put steam from the boiler down through each of the 4 cylinder cocks. It closes the cylinder cocks and stops the flow of condensate from the cylinders out to atmosphere. The injectors, we might have run through them last time, but there's a left hand and a right hand injector. I'll just knock the blower back a little bit. The steam valves here, there's 2 steam valves. This one's for the right hand injector. There's a water valve just around the corner. Open the water valve first. Click the steam valve on. The injector's just picked up. Whoops, she's just blown out. There we go. Just putting a little bit of water into the boiler, just making sure that she's right. Okay, just put a little bit of coal in to warm her up a little bit before we get off. Okay, that'll do us. Okay, we'll start off now. It's a pretty tight curve where we're at, but it's at the bottom of a 1 in 30 grade, so it's a matter of sort of not taking it too gently, but getting into it when you can. At any rate, we'll take her off. We'll take the handbrake off. Toot on the whistle and away we go. The track's fairly level for a little while here, but then we start to get into a 1 in 50, then comes down to about a 1 in 30 grade up towards our first station, which is called Wombat. It's called Wombat for the fact that many moons back there was a huge big wombat hole where they dug a big cave underneath where the station is. Coming up to the station called Wombat now. We'll stop just before we get there and we'll change the points to go into number 2 track. Okay, we've stopped, changed the points and away we go. About a 1 in 25 grade up here, so it's pretty tight. We're on a tight curve, so there's a fair amount of drag on the train. We're just about the top of the grade now, and we've got about a 1 in 25 grade down into Wombat. So it's a pretty dangerous little grade. If you're not doing the right thing, you can get away from, the train will get away from you pretty quick. Just about to shut off now, work on the handbrake, set the handbrake on. Okay, we're leaving Wombat Junction station now. We call it Wombat Junction because originally it was just called Wombat, but because we've incorporated the track that we've just come around, which is only a fairly recent track to the addition up here, it's now become a track where we've got 2 loops. There's a shorter loop, the one we've just come around, but a big long loop, which we're not running on at present because it needs a lot of track work done to it. There's a lot of sleepers need replacing. plus a lot of ballast needed, so we're not running on the big track at present, so we're only going on the small track. But we'll roll down into Linton, just set the handbrake on a little bit. We haven't got an air compressor on Merlin yet, but there's a chap in the process of making up a half-size air compressor that will mount on front of the tank on this side, and it'll be just a standard single-stage Westinghouse air pump, but half-size version. We've already got a brake valve to control the air brakes, but we haven't got a source of air yet to operate the brakes on the train, so we're just using the handbrake to control the speed. With all the problems with the COVID-19 that we've had here for the last several months, we haven't been able to do any work on the track. We haven't been able to get here to do any work on the track. It's a bit overgrown with weeds in places, but over the next month or two we'll get in contact with all the weeds. We've got some weed killer to put on them, and we'll control all them down. We've got a lot of sleepers to put in, and by the end of summer we'll have a railway that we'll all be very happy with. Just roll down into Linton. There's a little bit of upgrade into the points, but then we roll down into the platform itself. Ken, my brother that owns the property here, is very, very taken with the Linton and Barnstaple Railway in Great Britain. Always has been, and is very, very glad to know that sections of it are now being reopened bit by bit, and the beautiful work they're doing on new locomotives and carriages. And because Ken's very interested in the Linton and Barnstaple Railway, the first station that we had on the railway is obviously called Linton, after the Linton and Barnstaple Railway. One of our four-wheel trucks is a fairly close copy of one of the Linton and Barnstaple four-wheel wagons, and it's a great little truck. It's behind us now, and it's been with us. It's a general purpose vehicle. We can put people in it. We cart sleepers, we cart goods, we cart all sorts of bits and pieces. If we're doing a firewood run, we'll load it up with firewood for Ken's fire inside the house, or for light up wood for the engine, or for our crew room down there. We've got a big pot belly stove. So it's the railway itself is it's a lot of fun. We do provide a lot of enjoyment for each other. We get up here every Friday and have a lot of fun. We do a lot of laughing and joking. We heat up pies occasionally on the locomotive, which we mentioned last time we were here. The fellas that we have come up here, all retired, and with the exception of one fellow, the young bloke, young Lucas, he comes up here thoroughly for the enjoyment of it with the railway, as well as being with fellas of like-mindedness and interested in railways. I'm ex-railways. I retired some 6 years back. John Patterson, one of the other fellas that comes up here, he's a retired driver as well, suburban train driver in Melbourne, retired 6 years as well. All the other fellas, John Phillips, the man behind the lens, he's been with the railway industry for many, many years. He started off as a train examiner with the railways and then progressed through to the photographic department, and he was head of the photographic department for many, many years. It's when we had a photographic department. The other fellas that come up, we've got a retired engineer, we've got a retired auto electrician, Ken semi-retired from being a medico, doctor in the area, and other people that come up here from time to time, all retired from various fields, but the one interest of the railways keeps us all coming up here, and we just have a ball. We have a lot of fun. Do a little bit of shayaking. Some of the conversations we have in jest we probably couldn't put on tape because they're a bit funny, but we have a ball and we have a great time, and we just love showing this railway off. I hope that you enjoy the video when it gets put onto YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the previous Light Up Merlin video that John produced, and there's another engine now, or locomotive I should say, in the process of being overhauled in the workshop. Young Katie. More about Katie when we get to steaming Katie. Katie's a great little 260. It was originally 7¼ inch gauge. Now she's 12-inch gauge, been re-gauged to 12-inch gauge, and she's an absolute little gem. But we'll drop a few little stories along the way about Katie when we actually get to see Katie in steam. And not much else I can tell you, folks, but enjoy the video, enjoy watching it, pass it along to your friends, and who knows, might see some of your videos one day. Anyway, folks, that's all for now, and bye for now. Neil Tate signing off.